Welcome back, everyone, to the Mental Wellness Symposium and Community Rally here in Prince William County with Woodbridge, Virginia, at Veterans for Growing America in the Stonebridge Town Center. Thank you. Many thanks to Veterans for Growing America for hosting us. I am joined by Christy me. We go back a long ways. We go back several years. We were former colleagues. We used to work together. She's taken a risk. She's an entrepreneur, and I want to give you an opportunity to talk about the work that you do, your firm, but I also want to tee up, talk a little bit about your career, because you're former military, you've been a contractor, you've worked alongside the federal government. Your entire career has been around the federal space, so you have some insights that I think most people may not have. Talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one thing you probably don't know about me is I was actually a Fed for a little while too.
Talk that talk.
So as you said, I was prior Army. Mm-hmm. And kind of funny about that is I actually didn't join the Army until I was 24. Wow. So I was not a spring chicken.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So I didn't get out of the Army until I did 4 years. I got out around 28 years old, and I moved to the DC area. Mm-hmm. And what do you do in DC? You either work for the federal government or you're a government contractor. I started off in contracting. I didn't really know what I was doing. And I think reflecting back on that is great, because I had a hard time getting a job, but I also didn't have a hard time getting a job. It was in my head. Mm-hmm. We'll get back to that.
Yeah, sure.
I did a couple gigs as a contractor, and then I decided I would like to, try working in the federal government. I didn't last long, not because it was horrible or anything like that. The location for me didn't work out for me. So I went back to contracting. And I went in as just an average Joe working on a contract. And I found a great company, and I worked there for 11 years. And I became an executive. So I wore a lot of hats. I was a vice president, which means I managed contracts. I worked with the government. I did a lot of business development. So I was kind of spread all over the place.
That's right. Yeah.
But I'm an entrepreneur at heart.
Yep.
Right. I actually ran my own liquidation business while I was doing all that too. Mm-hmm. But I did decide I would go ahead and start my own thing around government contracting and federal business. So now what I'm doing is Capture 411, where we are attempting to disrupt how business development is done in GovCon.
What exactly does Capture 411 do?
We are a marketplace. We are the only marketplace. So think Airbnb.
Sure.
Okay. So what we do is we crowdsource historical RFPs. So those solicitation documents the government puts out for bidding purposes. Why are those so valuable? Because if you want to bid on the recompete, you really need to go back to the old one to see what is being done today. It gives you a leg up in every instance. And we found that industry has all these documents. So if you can't find them somewhere, you have the opportunity now to go into our site and buy them from an industry partner.
So you have this really unique kind of model you subscribe to. It's this bacon principle. I want you to talk about that, because I think it's really interesting in how you lay it out and what it can mean, particularly in this case we're talking about displaced federal workers and how they can remain viable in the marketplace and connect with different people to get where they're trying to go.
Yeah, and I'll preface it with, this is how I've gotten every job I've ever gotten.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So it works.
It works. I'm proof.
Good.
But I think there's a lot of people who are proof too. We all call it networking. I call it bacon. Okay. Right? So when you're having a bad day and you think you can't get to where you need to go, mm-hmm. Remember bacon. Bacon makes a lot of people happy.
It's delicious.
It is. Yeah. Yes. But yes, we're actually talking about that principle of 6 degrees of separation. And so I like to use that, the bacon principle. I have 2 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon. a good friend of mine, her cousin is Kiefer Sutherland. Kiefer Sutherland played in a movie with Kevin Bacon. I have 2 degrees of separation. That's it.
So
I don't know Kevin Bacon.
You're almost famous.
I could be.
You could be.
I know I could get a message to Kevin Bacon because I only have 2 degrees of separation.
Sure.
Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you work around the federal space, believe it or not, there's no such thing as 6 degrees of separation.
Washington's a small place.
It is. We are talking 2 or 3 degrees of separation from anybody that you want. So when you're looking for a job, and this is how I've always gotten my jobs, I start looking through my network. If I am applying at a particular company, I'm going to go through my network and see if somebody knows somebody at that company, or if someone I know currently works at that company. That's how I'm going to start.
How far are you willing to go? I mean, do you post on social media? You say, "Hey guys, I'm looking at XYZ place, or I'm looking at XYZ role. Does anyone know anyone there?" Or how far are you willing to go with this?
I like to do one-on-one messaging.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially if I know the person really well.
Yep.
They're more likely to do a favor for me.
That's right.
Right? Now, if I loosely know someone, right, I'm probably going to try and look for a stronger tie. So I'm looking for my strongest tie all over the place. But once you find those strong ties, navigating into where you're trying to be is so much easier. I mean, if I want to go call the Secretary of State, I don't know the Secretary of State.
Right.
But someone in my network absolutely does.
Right.
And I'm going to go call that person to get me into that.
But I'm shy, or maybe I don't have as much confidence. What do you say to those people who are kind of dealing with that challenge? And certainly the anxiety that comes with being laid off, the impact that has on your confidence, and in some cases, let's be honest, our ego. Yep. What do you tell those people?
You got nothing to lose. I mean, what you have to lose is the job that you're trying to apply for. And so really that's what's at stake. And it's not even taking a leap of faith. And someone else's opinion about you, it grows when you reach out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's kind of the funny thing about it. We might be a little bit shy to reach out, or might think, oh, this person might think something different of me. But the fact is, you're actually probably rekindling something. And people do appreciate that. And who knows, that person might need you too for something.
You never know. It's always a two-way street. Karma comes back around, right? And so the last question I want to ask you before we depart, and you're going to close us out here, but I think it's an important question, is people are looking to re-enter the marketplace. They're looking at their resume. What tips and tools do you have for individuals who are looking at how they can position their resume and thereby themselves for more market viability and to get more eyeballs on their resume when they post to LinkedIn or Indeed.com, for example? What tips and tools do you give these people?
Yes. Okay. Because the resumes are really important. So I have 3 big ones.
Sure.
Okay. Do not use ChatGPT to write your resume. It is obvious when you do that.
Yeah.
And so ChatGPT is a great idea generator, right? It'll help you start formulating language, but make sure it is your own language. And in the federal space, if you plan on staying in the federal space, a longer resume tends to be a better idea. Now, when you're going over into commercial world, a shorter resume tends to be a better idea, right? Yeah. They don't want to read 3 pages where, government contracting and federal
There's
government,
requirements.
Yeah, they actually like the longer resume.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, but what goes in your resume? Okay, so that's my 3rd one, and this is the most impactful one. Metrics. I did this, and the outcome was this. Okay, so let's give a real example, right? Okay, so I reworked a form, and I cut 80% of the paperwork out of the process. Or I was able to review the budget, and I was able to slash the budget by 20% year over year.
Enhance the efficiency by 12%, yes. Whatever that may be.
You always want to show those outcomes. Do not make somebody ask you what the outcomes were.
That's right.
They want to ask you a little bit more about how you did that. It's a bright, shiny moment for a hiring manager to see those types of metrics and then be able to pick your brain because they're looking for those types of efficiencies too. And they want to know, did what you do apply here? How do we use that?
That's right.
So yeah, that's probably my big key one. Metrics, outcomes.
Christy, thank you so much once again for your participation and certainly sharing these tips, these tools, these guide points with the viewers. Where can they find you? Contact information.
Absolutely. So you can find me in a couple different ways. One, you can go to capture411.com. If you hit the contact us, it goes straight to me.
Straight to the boss.
Straight to the boss, yes. Or you could also go to Christy.me, that's CHRISTY.MEE at capture411.com.
Fantastic. Well, Christy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been tremendous to have your support in this event. And that's all, folks. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.